Hello and welcome to our coverage here from a currently wet Milwaukee mile. I'm Garth Allen. This is Racing News Now, and we're joined, as we have been so much lately, by the ARCA propaganda minister, Mr. Charlie Krall. Charlie, how's it going today?
We're doing great, Garth. The only downside is a little damp outside right now, but we knew that this was a possibility earlier in the week. We're pretty committed to getting this race in today, so we're going to stick around and hope Mother Nature smiles on us here in a little bit. And already had a great crowd in the grandstands, and we're still a couple of hours away from race time. So first and foremost, we are very enthused to be back here in Milwaukee after 14 years. What a great town, what a great racing state Wisconsin is, and it is great to bring national level racing back to the Milwaukee Mile.
So, to clear up the rain situation here, if it does move out before the scheduled ARCA start time, we do have some other local stuff that's supposed to happen. Does that still happen before the ARCA race and then it pushes the ARCA race back, or does ARCA go first in that situation?
So, due to TV commitments, based on what time is going to be the key. I think we've already jumbled the schedule up enough today that it's likely that ARCA would be the first on the racetrack. But we have till dark, which is around 8:15, I think. So, and we've got, I already see some blue sky out there. So I think we'll be good for today. It's just going to jumble the schedule a bit.
All right, so to the main point here. As we have in the past, anytime there's been any sort of controversial thing happen, we always like to get the series side of things on here as well. And honestly, I was pretty critical of the penalties a couple days ago that were handed down to Drew Dollar, Kevin Reed Sr., Kevin Reed Jr. So for folks that maybe missed that, first off, explain what the penalties were and then why they were handed out.
So I'm not going to go too deep into why we chose to penalize the way that we did. The penalty statement that's our statement. We penalized Drew Dollar $1,000 for a conduct violation. We penalized Kevin Reed $500 again for a conduct violation, and put him on probation for the rest of 2021. Kevin Reed Jr. was fined $1,500 and suspended indefinitely, again, for a conduct violation. I think there's a lot of questions about, the dollar amounts, and, that penalty's not big enough to really make a difference. And one thing I want everybody to understand is, we know that. Okay, $500 in the grand scheme of things isn't a big deal. But let's take a look at, again, where a cup penalty would be, where an Xfinity penalty would be, where a truck series penalty would be, and then there's us. So we're 3 layers down. We're not going to penalize somebody $50,000. That's just not going to happen. You could say, well, Drew's family, what's $1,000 to Drew Dollar? Well, it might not be anything. I don't know what their situation is, but that's, while we have to do something, that's not really, what the penalty is really having to come in and talk to, the competition department. Which anybody who has ever done that, and I have way back in the day, got called into the NASCAR trailer. You just don't want to do that. And the penalty is having your name on a penalty report, to be quite honest. So our goal is, as a lot of people have known, particularly the last couple of years since we've kind of officially formalized that step, we want to be that first step that these drivers take as they're on their way up the ladder. We understand there's a lot of learning that's going to be done here, whether it's on the racetrack or off. These drivers, they're not polished. They're not perfect. They're learning. And we're going to give them a little leeway to make those types of mistakes. Everybody would rather those mistakes are made early in their career than 10 years from now when they're running in the Cup Series. Let's get that out of their system here. It's no fun for us, honestly. I mean, it's not. I mean, we have every day this week in the office, we're like, let's just go race. We don't want to deal with this stuff. It's not fun for us. I know it's not fun for those involved. As we said in our drivers meeting today, hey guys, we're a professional racing series. This is your first step. Don't do anything at this level that's going to tarnish your brand, your image, your career as you're going forward. I've had a chance to talk to a couple of the people involved in the Drew Dollar DGR thing, and some of it was okay, some of it crossed the line from what they're saying. There's an accepted way to express your displeasure with something that happened on the racetrack, and the DGR guys were like, okay, all right, we get it. You're upset, we get it, but at the same time, I think everybody would also agree there was a line that was crossed, and we just want to make sure that those lines are crossed as infrequently as humanly possible, and hopefully, the statements that we made with the penalties that we've levied has done that. Look, we get it. Everyone's got to have an instant reaction to something, and they see a $500 penalty and like, who $500? Who even cares? Yeah, we know that. We know, but we are not in a position where we can find somebody $5,000 or $20,000, or we know we're ARCA. We get it. We get it. Our budgets. We're not going to find somebody, 20% of their total budget for a year. We just can't do that. We need these race cars at the racetrack. So it's a tough spot to be in, but those. And I'm not just going to talk about the incident that happened post-Michigan, but any driver that is involved in some sort of incident like that, I can guarantee you they know the message has been heard and delivered. And but we also know, hey, we're dealing with kids who are 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. I challenge you, Garth, to tell me when you were 15 years old, did you ever do something or say something that you wish you didn't do or say? Yeah, so our kids are just doing that with TV cameras following them, and they're driving race cars, and they're humans and they make mistakes. So, yeah.
So the other thing I saw that people were questioning this week was why wasn't there a penalty given to Thad Moffitt for the on-the-track stuff? What is the series viewpoint on that?
So we've had a couple of incidents this year on the racetrack where the instant social media reaction was that was intentional. ARCA should penalize that guy. ARCA should kick him out. Okay, so we all know what it looked like, but none of us were in the helmet of the driver holding that steering wheel. So we could go down and say, hey, what happened out there? Well, I accidentally got into him. How do we know? Okay, so it's a tough spot to be in. I think the situation at Winchester involved a driver that was already on probation from an incident, or an on-track incident, but a non-racing incident. So I think we handled that a little differently. The driver involved at Michigan, not on probation, has never been on our radar for anything, has had no reason to be on our radar for anything. I can understand, because I've got eyeballs, I can understand why there would be some outrage to it. The optics might not have looked great. But again, until we are able to learn how to telepathically communicate with drivers as an incident is happening, it's really tough for us to make a blanket judgment that was intentional, that was not. So what we choose to do is we're going to let, as much as we possibly can, we're going to let the drivers police it. And we also understand, Garth, and this is why it's a great country that we live in here in the United States, you're going to disagree. Eric Estep might disagree. Casey Campbell might disagree. Mark Crystal might disagree. Jim Utter and Bob Bockhurst might disagree. That's okay. Everyone is allowed to have an opinion. All we would ask is, before you condemn us for making those types of judgment calls, just understand kind of what we're working against here. And, I'm not saying that there wouldn't be an incident on the racetrack that we would say, we're not going to tolerate that. Again, like anything, there's a line, and you could cross it. I think, and I'm going to speak for myself here, just based on some conversations that I've heard. We've gotten close to that line, but we haven't crossed that line. So, it's okay. Everyone's allowed to have an opinion. We haven't been able to get to that point conclusively where we could say that was 100% intentional, and we're going to park you for that. So we'll let you know when we get to that point. We'll have another one of these great conversations.
I'm sure we will. All right, well, I think that's all we got today, so hopefully we can get some on-track racing happening today. Keep it right here on RNN YouTube and on Twitter. And
well, don't sign off just yet, because here's one thing that and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but the one thing that I would really ask for, Garth, and not just from commentators and the YouTubers and just race fans in general, I think one thing, and I'm as guilty as this as anybody, because I'm pretty active on social media. Everybody wants to have a hot take. Everybody wants to be the guy who comes up with, I'm the first one who comes up with this really insightful criticism that's going to change how everything is done. I've done it, man. Trust me, I've done it. I would just ask that, let's try to have fun. We're here to have fun. This is an entertainment venue, and I'm even going to ask I would ask this of our teams, our drivers, our officials, our fans, our media that's Covenant, the television folks who are here, we've got a huge throng of media here today. This is supposed to be fun, man. I'm having a great time when I'm here. I want everybody else to have a great time. Yeah, I mean, there are some times we've got to talk about some serious stuff, and trust me, anybody who has followed what happened at Michigan, that's a pretty serious issue, and we will handle that as needed. But the day-to-day stuff, let's try to have fun with it. It's race cars, man. We're watching race cars go around in circles. Sometimes they're going to run into each other. Drivers might get mad. We don't have to. I'm here to have fun. I want everybody to have fun. That's what I would ask. Let's just have fun while we're doing this. I love coming and talking about this stuff. I much rather would talk about a great race, or even a not great race. I much rather would talk about the action on the racetrack than all this off-track drama. I certainly hope as we get down to the final, now 4 races of the season. I've lost track, Garth. The final quarter of our season, we've got a great championship battle going on here, man. And I get it. It's only 2 cars. We've had we're looking at breaking the record for the fewest winners in a single season. But we're watching history being made here. 5. And I'm looking to double and triple check that. But one of the seasons in the early 80s, we only had 5 winners. So, but yeah, just have fun with it. We got a couple of really great drivers going at it, hammer and tong. They don't necessarily like each other, so they're going to run pretty hard with each other. I'm going to sit back and enjoy it, and I'm going to ask that all the fans do as well.
Well, and that's what I've been saying for weeks now is you can look at this as being boring because there's only 2 guys winning every race, but you can also look at it as something extremely historic. And the fact that they're putting on good racing every week is something to really enjoy.
And I think what's really amazing is you've seen Ty go off on like a 4-race win streak, and you're like, how is anybody going to stop him? And then Corey steps it up, and then you're like, wow, I didn't expect that. And then of course you've got Daniel Lai comes in and steals one from them both, and then they both just kind of trade serve back and forth. And you saw Corey win at Watkins Glen, which no one saw coming. Everyone thought Ty, with all of his road course experience, he was just going to walk away with it, and it didn't happen. So, yeah, we understand it's, the 2 dominant drivers have really, had their way with the series this year, but it's a great storyline. I'm enjoying watching these 2 go at it. They've got bright futures ahead of them. They're doing exactly what the series is in place to do, and we're very fortunate to be seeing it. And I just want to remind everybody that, I do this. I look back at the good old days. Well, ARCA was so great back in the 1990s and the 2000s. Well, who was doing all the winning back then? Tim Steele and Frank Kimmel. 2 cars each and every week, dominating. Race fans love to have someone to cheer for and cheer against. And right now they've got that here.
Definitely. Well, now I think we're good to go. Do you have anything else you want to say now? Okay. Okay. Yep. All right. And like I started to say earlier, keep it locked here on RNN the rest of the day for updates from the Milwaukee Mile, if I can get my hand figured out here. And on Twitter, as we've been keeping updated on there as well. The rain looks like it has stopped, although I do believe we're still in a lightning hold. So just keep an eye on RNN, especially on Twitter, and we will keep you updated on what is happening today.